What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Euro Fantasy Chip Strategy video. My name is Ryan from the Football Chatbox, and today I'm going to explain two different chip strategies that you could use in Euro Fantasy 2024. If you are new, welcome. Make sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and let's get straight into the video. Now, I have built a Euro Fantasy fixture difficulty rating based on a couple different conditions, and I'm going to explain those to you as well, how I built this FDR and how it could help you in terms of making a chip strategy plan, and maybe you can go with option 1 in terms of how you're going to play your chips, or option 2 in terms of how you're going to play your chips. If you want to take a screenshot of this, go ahead. I will also put this FDR on Twitter, on Discord for those who are on the Discord chat as well. I'll put the FDR up as well for you guys also. So yeah, let's get straight into how I've done the FDR, and then I'll explain the two different chip routes that you can try. Now, basically, to explain how I've done it, I've used a few conditions here. Condition number 1 being, I've taken, actually, before conditions, where have I taken the data from to try and build this FDR? I've taken the data based on the FIFA rankings. Okay, so FIFA rankings, for example, if I was to switch to this site, which is the chips, but the FIFA rankings, you can go and check it online as well. It's over there. I've sorted according to UEFA, and I've sorted teams in the FIFA rankings. And basically what I've done is going back to the FDR. Where is the FDR? There we go. Going back to the FDR. So if a team, let's say for example, was in the top 10 and they were facing a team outside the top 10, for example, if we were to look at Group B, where Albania are playing Spain, Croatia, and Italy. All three teams are in the top 10. They have like a dark red. So any team that has a very bad ranking that's playing a team in the top 10, dark red. Any team that has a worse ranking, and it plays a team with a really good ranking, then it's a light red. So for example, let's say Scotland and Hungary. Actually, let's take Scotland in Group A. They play Germany. Now, Scotland are 29th in the world, and Germany are currently 16th in the world. So because of that, Scotland get like a light red, and Germany get a darkish green. So that explains the darkish green and the light red. So they're basically opposites of each other. And then you get the yellow. Actually, let me go to the slightest darkish yellow / orangish color, depending on how you look at it. Basically, that is any team within a similar ranking. So for example, if I was to go back to Group B to take as an example, I'd previously told you that Spain, Croatia, and Italy are all in the top 10. So I've tried to split teams according to brackets. So like 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, like that, in terms of brackets, in terms of their world rankings. So because Spain, Croatia, and Italy are all in that 1 to 10 bracket, I've put them as yellow, because the game can go either way, right? We don't know which way the game. It's a 50-50 almost. Maybe one team is slightly edges over the other team, but it's too small to call. So I've put that as like a darkish yellow. And then the light green is basically when there's too big a gap, where let's say, for example, Italy, right? They play Albania, or even Croatia or Spain, they play Albania. Any of their teams that play Albania, because Albania are ranked 66th in the world. So it's like a top 10 team in the world against a 66th team in the world. It's a massive gap. Same thing, let's say, for example, with Portugal in Group F against Georgia. Georgia ranked 75th in the world, whereas Portugal are ranked 6th. So it's a massive gap. So because of that, you get that light green as well. So those are like the easy fixtures that you want to target. Basically, so light green, really good fixture for the team. Anything that has light green, really good fixture. Dark green, bit more of an easier fixture. Yellow, basically, it's a mid-tier, can go either way. Light red is basically, it's a hard fixture for the team. Dark red, it's incredibly hard. That's basically how the FDR is built, and hopefully that kind of makes sense. Now, based on that FDR, if you look at the teams that are here, there aren't that many teams that have like a good stretch of good fixtures in match day 1 followed to match day 2, or even good fixtures in match day 2 followed to match day 3 per se. Maybe if you look at Portugal, they have a good stretch of green fixtures all throughout match day 1, 2, and 3. So they are a team that you could load up on, kind of. But even Germany, okay, one thing I should also add into this video is Germany are the only team I kind of altered. Even though Germany are ranked 16th in the world and Hungary are ranked 26th, so different brackets, by the way. But I've made it yellow because Germany's recent head-to-head history with Hungary for some reason isn't great. Hungary have either drawn in most of the games, or I think they've managed to pull out a win as well. So because of that recent head-to-head history, I've made it a yellow for Germany. So that's something that you guys should kind of keep in mind as well. That's the only one team that has changed, but everything else follows the principles that I mentioned. But like you see, right, Switzerland, they have 2 good fixtures in the match day 1, match day 2, match day 3 tough. England have 2 good fixtures, match day 1, match day 2. Ukraine, Portugal, like I mentioned. But that's basically it, right? So if you wanted to like get France, they got a slightly tough match day 2. If you wanted to get, let's say, for example, Spain, Italy, and Croatia, I think that's like group of death, looking at that group, to be honest. But you would still want like the teams that play Albania. So like you would want Italy players on match day 1, you would want Croatian players on match day 2, you'd want Spanish players on match day 3, something like that. You would want to target those kind of fixtures. Same thing with Netherlands. They play France in match day 2, not great. So there are few, like there isn't like a proper stretch of fixtures that you would want, right? So that's the problem with regards to this, which is why I think chip strategy 1, which I'm about to mention, might be slightly better than chip strategy 2. But if you can find a different situation, let me know as well. So let me actually explain chip strategy 1. But before I do that, let me bring up this back again. Now, we got 2 chips in the game. Basically, we have a wildcard chip and a limitless chip. And both can be used in any of the match days, any of the rounds that you want to play them in. Wildcard, basically a limitless chip, is almost like a free hit chip with no budget. For those who have played the Fantasy Premier League game, anyone who's played Champions League Fantasy, you would probably know what this chip does. But basically, unlimited transfers, unlimited budget, but just for 1 match day. Wildcard, on the other hand, the team you set follows on for the next round as well. So that's something that you kind of have to keep in mind. Now, chip strategy 1, what basically I would recommend with chip strategy 1 is, let me switch back over to the FDR. You play, so you start off your team in match day 1, right? You get your team set up for match day 1. You potentially play either a wildcard or a limitless, doesn't matter which one, in match day 2. And then you play the other chip, the wildcard or the limitless, whichever you played in match day 2, the other one you play in match day 3. So basically, you get a free team, or not a free team, a brand new team every match day. So that means you get to capitalize on each match day, try and get the best team possible for each match day. But what would happen in that specific situation is you don't have any chips for the knockout stages, right? So you capitalize on every single team for each of the match days. And when the round of 16 is about to start, you get another unlimited transfer section that the game gives you itself. So you can reset your team and set your team for the knockout stages. Now, I mentioned this on the how to play guide as well. If you haven't watched the video, go check it out. It's out there. But when I mentioned in that video as well, you need to have your prediction game on point for the knockout rounds, because you don't have a wildcard chip anymore to kind of reset your team. So you need to have your prediction game on point, but you do get more transfers. That is one thing that you have in your arsenal with regards to more transfers in the knockout stages. So if, for example, I was to show you in transfers here, during the group stage, you get only two transfers per match day. Now, 2 transfers might not be enough, like I showed you with the FDR, to kind of try and get the best team possible for each match day. Whereas in the knockout stages, from round of 16 to quarterfinals, you have three transfers. If you kind of get your prediction game to a decent level where you're able to predict the outcome of most of the fixtures, then you should be enough with like 3 transfers. Semis 4 would be more than enough. Finals 5 is enough. It's just that round of 16 to quarterfinal, that's where chip strategy 2 comes into play, and I will explain that now. Now, chip strategy 2 is basically you set a team for match day 1 and match day 2, right? So you try and get the Portugal players in your team. You get England in your team. Who else would you want? Switzerland, maybe. You could go with Germany as well. Hope that they do well in that Hungary game. You could go with a few French players in match day 1 and hope they do well against Netherlands as well, potentially. But basically, you set your team up for match day 1 and match day 2. And then you play your limitless chip, not your wildcard. You play your limitless chip in match day 3. Then you get to reset your team, right? And then you set your team up for the round of 16. See how it goes. And if you don't get your prediction game on point, you can hit that wildcard button for the quarterfinals and set your team up with the remaining teams from the quarterfinal onwards. And then after that, the transfers should be enough for you to be able to navigate. So you can either play that wildcard chip in the group stages or just before the quarterfinals. Those are the 2 situations where the chip strategy would change in based on where you would play your chip. So let me know what you think about that. Those are basically the 2 chip strategies. So just to recap, chip strategy 1, you play both your wildcard and limitless in the group stages. Either match day 2 you play one, match day 3 you play the other. Chip strategy 2, you play your limitless on match day 3. And the reason again for playing it in match day 3 is because by the time match day 3, most groups you would assume are kind of done. So because they end up kind of being done, some teams would start rotating as well in the tournament. Sounds crazy, but they do tend to rotate as well. They would want to give players who haven't played games leading so far in the tournament a few minutes and all of that. And so trying to predict starting 11s isn't as easy. So you would want to play that limitless in match day 3. And then you have that wildcard left over, which you can use in ahead of the quarterfinals if you've saved it and you haven't tried chip strategy 1. A majority of players will go for chip strategy 1 because they would try to maximize as much as possible in the group stage, try and target those good games in every single round. And then they would look to try and navigate based on predictions and like seeing who they think would qualify for the next round. And I mean, if you want to go that's mostly what majority would do. But if you have the patience to hold out on the wildcard chip and keep it, that's also a possibility. All depends on how you start as well. If you start off well, maybe you could try and look to hold it as well. So that's basically it. That's my chip strategy video. Let me know what you think about that. Which route are you going? Are you going option 1 or option 2? Let me know in the comments. And let me know what you think about the fixture difficulty rating as well. I will share it on Twitter, Instagram, and also on Discord for those of the Discord members as well. So thank you all for watching. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and I will see you all later.